Welcome into the Jon and Lebo show. Alex Lubowitz here with John Sokoloff. John, you know what Sunday was?
I know, man. I was excited and I enjoyed it, and I was a little disappointed, a
Let's just
little
feel
bit. But
a little
I
disappointed.
think
Let's tell people what it is first, because right now you're talking about nothing. Curb Your Enthusiasm was on Sunday night. It was the first episode of this is the ninth season, but they haven't had a season since what, '09? So they took it
2011,
2011.
6-year
Okay,
hiatus.
so a 6 year hiatus. They came back. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. Let's get your thoughts first, though.
I just had I had really high expectations for it, and then it came on, and it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. It just like I don't know. I thought it was great, but like also the show hadn't been on in 6 years. At the beginning with like the whole door opening thing with that, like that was too over the top, I thought. But you got LD in there. Like it's been a long time. He's trying to come in like strong. The main thing, I guess, that the fatwa stuff was funny. The lamping stuff was funny with Leon. It was good. It was funny, but like I wanted Marty. I guess that's what it all comes down to. I really wanted him. I wanted him, and he wasn't there for me. I saw Bryan Cranston was in it, and he wasn't in that first episode. That made me upset too.
They can't all come in the first episode. Here's the thing: they did a lot of stuff that like was kind of reinitiated it. Like Larry saying pretty good. He went back to that. Susie yelling at him, calling him a baldy. You had the weird stuff with Jeff. He's always doing weird
I
stuff.
love Jeff.
By the way, I have a bone to pick with you. Do you
Yeah.
think fat people just continue to get fatter? Because last week you were like, how much weight does Jeff come into the season gaining? Like, why do you assume he's just going to keep getting bigger? Because he was the same
Because he
exact
always
size.
has gotten bigger on the show.
I don't think he has. I think you just have a thing against large people, and you think they just keep
I will say this though.
until they pop.
I think the cast of the show has aged like a fine wine. Maybe besides Larry, maybe Larry just looks the same. Maybe he looks a little older. He's 70 now. So.
Age like a fine wine's a good thing, though.
Yeah, it is. Like Susie looks great. Leon
She got some work done. She had some work done.
Leon looks great. Cheryl looked great.
I don't think Leon looked that great. Here's my one thing with Leon. I think Leon lost a little bit of an edge, especially in that first scene together with Larry. He wasn't the same Leon. He wasn't, and I was a little disappointed.
Come on, with the foisting, with the lamping. Come on.
Yeah, the foist everything. Towards the middle of the episode, like I feel like he kind of got that energy back. Although it's not like they filmed that first scene first. That's not how it usually works. But I thought he was just a little like lower energy than I want JB Smoove to be in that situation. Still hilarious. He definitely aged a lot, but
Fine wine.
Honestly though, it really made me appreciate the dynamic between Larry David and Leon Black. I think it's one of the most underrated TV dynamics out there. Like it's this old Jew and this 40-year-old black guy, and they're just the most opposite people, but they have the funniest conversations, and it's amazing. I miss that more than anything, I think. And I thought it was a good episode. I thought it was a typical Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. I wasn't disappointed. I think they hit on all their points. And for reintroducing the show back into the public, I thought they did a pretty good job. I was happy. I laughed. I laughed a lot.
Yeah, I did too. It was fun. Like it was enjoyable. I can't wait for next week. I think I just made my expectations a little too high, but also the production was so much better. I didn't realize how long 6 years was until I saw like the great production at the beginning of that episode.
Another thing is Larry was he was laughing a lot. He seemed more happy. Like he was laughing at his jokes, like when he was shitting on his secretary who was constipated.
Oh, the voice.
Like, yeah, you can do his fundraiser for constipation awareness. It was hilarious. And that lady's also in Portlandia. She's very funny. I forget her name.
She was also in Curb a couple seasons ago as like a someone working at like a retail store, and Larry clashed with her.
Okay, that makes sense. So they reintroduced her. She's hilarious, though. Let's get to the show, though. Let's get to the real stuff. Last night, Yankees beating the Twins 8-4. Luis Severino went 1/3 of an inning, gave up 3 runs, and then the bullpen came in for the Yankees and did a phenomenal job. The Twins, you got to give them credit. They lost 100 games last year. They're in the playoffs now.
That's crazy.
which is it's absolutely bananas. Um, and they had the lead. I thought they were going to win it. I was hoping it would be a blowout. I think everyone was pulling for the Twins. If it's the Twins versus the Yankees, you're obviously going to root for the Twins. But it was still a decent game. You know, beyond the fourth inning, it kind of got away from them. But still, the Yankees are now in the playoffs officially. I don't count the wild card game as a playoffs.
I count it.
You can do that. They're in the playoffs officially, and they're playing the Indians. I think they're going to get murdered. I think there's there are a lot of questions to be answered.
Put it lightly, dude.
but this is my one issue. Their number one pitcher is Luis Severino. He got shelled in the playoffs. That's their best option in that starting rotation. How's he going to do in the ALDS? How is he going to do in the ALCS if they get that far? Like, aren't you worried a little bit that he's maybe not the guy who can pitch under those circumstances?
This season, I think he deserves a lot more credit for what he did this season. I mean, he like almost 18 wins, like a 3 ERA. He was phenomenal. I actually saw his debut in New York against the Red Sox a couple years back. But this guy's been like, the stage is huge, but like, I think does the stage, like, until you get to the World Series or like a Game 7 in the NLCS or something, does the stage get bigger than that wild card game? I mean, like, you lose that one game, you're out. You know, and I think he needs redemption for sure. And the bullpen showed you how strong they were, considering they were able to give up only 1 run in 8 2/3 innings, which was ridiculous. But I think he deserves like another start. You know, another. I think the team still has confidence in him, but that is definitely very concerning.
Yeah, you know, you could definitely argue that the wild card game is more pressure than anything other than like a World Series game in the playoffs, because it's a 1-game elimination. You go 162 games, you make it to that last game, and you got to win it to make it. He might maybe have been too pumped, couldn't hit his spots, gave up that home run early, gave up 2 home runs early. I don't know. He can redeem himself. I'm not saying that's out of question, but this is a young guy. What is he, 23 years old, maybe 24?
Yeah.
He has no playoff experience other than yesterday. He now has an 81 ERA in the postseason career. I don't know. And he is 23. He's born a day after me, a year and a day after, or a year and a day before me. Or no, 364 days before me. Fun fact. Anyway, yeah, I mean, he could obviously redeem himself. I'm not saying that's out of the question, but this is a young guy who just got blown up in the first inning at Yankee Stadium and one of the biggest stages possible. I don't know if he's going to be able to bounce back against a team like the Indians, which has a much better lineup than the Minnesota Twins. And I just don't think the Yankees match up well against the Indians either. I don't think any team really does. I think they're one of the better teams in the league. I think they're the best managed team in the league. And the Yankees just went through 3 of their relievers who went, 30-plus pitches. So that might be a cause of concern. Obviously, Chapman didn't get in there. Betances didn't get in there. But still, they had to throw everything at the Twins to win this game, to make it into the postseason. And they're in, but there's a huge disadvantage there, not only with their roster, but with the availability of their pitchers. They're going to have to go with their number 2 guy game 1 instead of their number 1 guy. Their number 1 guy might not even be the guy. So I think there's a lot to be concerned about. This season's a win for the Yankees either way, though. Like, the fact that they've gotten to this point with the roster that they have, with the expectations that they had, is great. It's very impressive. They're a 91-win team. They almost won the AL East. So even though they'll lose in the ALDS, the Yankees are in a great position. They're going to be in a great position.
Also, game 1 against Trevor Bauer. I don't know. You think Tanaka's going to pitch for the Yanks?
Yeah, probably.
He's been inconsistent, though. I mean, who knows? But game 1 against Trevor Bauer, if the Yankees really want a shot at winning the series, they got to win game 1. Because you're not beating Kluber. They need to win game 1. And also, this is going to be such an entertaining series. First of all, Cleveland is better than the Yankees in every single way. Every way. Every single part of their team. Bullpen, starting rotation, lineup, you name it. They got Michael Brantley and Andrew Miller recently back. They're better in every way. But can we talk about how entertaining the series is going to be? You saw the game last night. The crowd, the fans, the Yankees, all the spotlight on them. It's just...
If the Yankees get swept, it's not going to be entertaining. The Yankees could...
No, it's not.
Too.
It's not, it's not going to be entertaining, but I'm just saying, like, It's maybe even if they do it, I'll tell you this, it's by far going to be the most entertaining series. When I'm looking at playoff games in the MLB, this is the one I'm circling. I'm not going to circle Diamondbacks, Dodgers, or Rockies, Dodgers. Maybe Cubs, Nationals a little bit, even though both of those teams are banged up. But this is like, I don't know, like the Yankees. They make it exciting. You know, they've got such a big spotlight on them. And then you got Cleveland's just by far the best team in baseball, in my opinion, right now.
I hate your take. I hate this take. So because of the Yankees, it's going to be an entertaining series. The Yankees
also,
are not
the matchup. They're the underdog. They're a high underdog. They have
you could say that about the Rockies. Guess what? The Rockies and the Diamondbacks are both better than the Yankees. So that's going to be a better matchup, them versus the Dodgers, than Yankees versus the Indians. Yeah, I don't think
Colorado's better than the Yankees.
I don't think the Yankees are as I think they're overachievers. I think that they will be exposed. This game might go 4 games. I don't think it's going beyond that. I think the Indians will have full control. Although baseball is a tough sport to predict. The Yankees could win, theoretically, obviously. Any team could win in this series. There's really every team coming in, with the exception of like the Twins, is a World Series contender. You could argue that.
I don't think Colorado is.
Maybe not Colorado, but you know what I mean. 8 out of the 10 teams, whatever it is, it's pretty tight. But just because it's the Yankees doesn't make it this great thing. Look at their roster.
I think it's entertaining. I think Aaron Judge is so fun to watch. Hicks,
he's obviously good. They got Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge. They have a good bullpen. Outside of those things, they have their number 1 pitcher who just imploded last night on the national stage.
The starting pitching's not
their starting pitching sucks, and that's pretty important in the playoffs.
It doesn't suck.
It's not good. It's not that good. CC Sabathia will probably be their best performer in the playoffs because he's been there and he's a guy who shows up when it matters. He's a respected veteran. Outside of him, what else?
Sonny Gray?
Maybe Sonny Gray, but what playoff experience does he really have?
Hey, Oakland made the playoffs a lot.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not counting on this Yankees team. Still, I'm gonna stick to my main point. It's not like the season's a failure. They're still a good team. I just don't think that they're quite good enough to beat this Indians team. I think a better series is the other one in the AL. The Astros Red Sox is super evenly matched. I think that's one that will potentially go 5 games and be the best series in the division round, in the division series round overall. But let's just take a quick break. So we have we just mentioned the Red Sox Astros. Let's talk about that when we come back. And we're not even going to take a break. We'll just do a live read right now. Just to let you know, this show is brought to you by Bonehead Picks. So go to Bonehead Picks, look at their stuff. Also, just want to plug my weekend gig Friday nights. This weekend, I'll be on WCAP on Friday. There is a UMass Lowell hockey game, Riverhawks men's hockey game from 7 o'clock to probably around 9:30. Directly following that game, I will be taking over the airwaves and doing Pigskin Press Pass covering football throughout the Merrimack Valley region in Massachusetts. It's a lot of fun. I'll be recapping all the games, given the fact that it'll be a 9:30 start, give or take, 9:30, 10. So make sure you join me then, and I'll have all your high school football stuff ready to go. But Red Sox Astros, that's coming up tomorrow night. We're recording this on a Wednesday, for those who are wondering. So Thursday night is game 1. Then they go again on Friday. Then Sunday, they'll be in Boston. I will be at that game. Fun fact. This is a series that I'm looking forward to, not only as a Red Sox fan, but I think if you're a baseball fan, you should be looking forward to this series. The matchups are going to be great. We have, I think it's Verlander, Sale going game 1. And then you have Dallas Keuchel, Drew Pomerantz on game 2 on Friday, which will be a great one. I think these are 2 really evenly contested teams. They just played a 4-game series against each other to close out the regular season. They're meeting again now. And 2 teams, one team with a really good lineup, another one that has, a struggling pitching staff. I'm worried for the Red Sox. I'm not gonna lie.
I think
they don't know. They might. Who knows? It all depends on game 1 and 2 for the Red Sox. It all depends on the effort they get from Drew Pomerantz and Chris Sale. Game 1 is a must-win for the Sox. If it's not a must-win for the Astros. For the Red Sox, they need to win game 1 with Chris Sale on the mound. And I think we'll know all we need to know about him through those first 2 innings, maybe the first inning. If he comes out there and he shuts them down, the first 6 outs of the game, then they're probably winning that game, and that's setting the tone for the rest of the series. If he comes out and he gives up a run or two in the first inning, he looks shaky, he's not hitting his spots, his slider's not sliding as much as he wants it to, then we're in trouble. But it all stems on that first game. It all stems on Chris Sale, and also stems on the fact on whether or not Betts, Bogarts, and Benintendi can continue to swing a hot bat. And there's also Nunez back in the lineup, Eduardo Nunez, who was a spark. Once he went out, the Red Sox started to suck. The fact that he will be back on this team is a really good sign for Boston. The Astros are obviously a great team, probably the best lineup in the game. Great pitching staff, all right bullpen. I still think this is pretty evenly contested. I think these are two talented teams going at it, and it could go either way. It could be a 3-game sweep for the Red Sox, 3-game sweep for the Astros, or a 5-game series either way. So I'm excited for it. I think this is the best matchup of the first round.
I think it's definitely going 5 games, if you ask me. I really could see it going 5 games, and if you're a Red Sox fan, that's ideal for you, because if you go to Game 5, Sale's on the mound. Definitely Sale will be on the mound. The first few games for the Astros, I would consider them, because look, you got Sale and you got Keuchel. Those first, not Sale, excuse me, Verlander and Keuchel.
Keuchel, Pomerantz, and then it would probably be like McHugh or maybe Doug Fister for the Red Sox, maybe Porcello or Rodriguez, one of those 3. There's a lot of question marks with that number 3 starter, though.
And Peacock, it might be Peacock, it might be Morton for Houston, who knows, but those are 2 pretty vulnerable starters. Like, I know the pitching staff collectively for Houston has been solid this year, but going to the playoffs, and if you can't win those few games, you don't give those pitchers some cushion, to feel a little bit more comfortable, it might be a little rough. But I think if you go to 5 games and we see a Verlander Sale Game 5, that would be so entertaining. But again, I do like Houston in this one, because I think they're going to get ahead early. And it really just depends on Game 1. Game 1's going to set the tone of this series. It really is.
No,
if it's Sale or Verlander, who knows? But who comes out on top? But Verlander hasn't pitched in the playoffs. How long has it been? 2012?
No, he pitched against them. He pitched against the Red Sox back in 2013. ALCS.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I think he's been there since then.
Slam.
Yep. That was off. Well, no, he pitched in the game where the Red Sox won. I think it was 1-0 or 2-1. I think it was a 1-0 game, and Mike Napoli hit a solo shot off of Justin Verlander to win it, or in the middle of the game. But that was the difference. That's going to be an unbelievable game. Chris Sale versus Justin Verlander, the best pitcher in the game currently, or one of the top 3 pitchers in the game currently, versus probably the best pitcher or one of the best pitchers of the last decade going at it.
Hall of Famer.
It's a future Hall of Famer for sure. 2 future Hall of Famers, if you ask me. So, yeah, it's going to be an amazing game, and it's probably going to be low scoring. The thing is, Houston has a way better lineup than the Red Sox. At least they produced way more than the Sox have this year. You look at top to bottom, Bregman, Altuve, who's, that guy's unbelievable. Altuve, Correa, they got all these guys, all these weapons. They have a great, veteran catcher in Brian McCann. I'm a big fan of his. So I look at that team. I'm definitely, if I'm a Sox fan, I'm scared. I'm a little worried that they might get the best of these starting pitchers.
David Price.
And David, he might be the difference too.
He's coming out of the bullpen now. Starting in the playoffs, he hasn't been great the last couple of years when he's been a starter. What are your expectations for him coming in here?
It could go either way, man. It could go either way. He's never.
That's just the whole series,
It really is. And that's baseball for you. The thing with David Price is he's an overthinker, and I've heard this spouted on sports talk radio in the area, which I think is a pretty good take. It was that he has 4 days to think about his next start, which is brutal for an overthinker, which he is. If he's in the bullpen, he doesn't know if he's coming in that game or not. He doesn't have time to react. He just goes out there and throws. So I think he will be way more effective in the bullpen. People are comparing it to when Andrew Miller went into the bullpen. Maybe, I don't know. You're in the bullpen, you're going to throw harder. That's one. Your ball's going to move more. You're going to be able to
less stress, man.
Let a lot. Well, depends on the scenario, but you're going to have more in the tank. You're going to be able to, really empty it out. So I think he can do a great job. I think he has the opportunity to kind of change his reputation in Boston and become more of a hero than a disappointment. But it all depends on starting pitching if they put him in a position to come in with a lead. And it depends on how he handles it in the first place. He's been in the bullpen in the playoffs when he was with the Rays back in 2008. He's had success there. He hasn't had success as a starter in the postseason. So I think he can come in and be an effective player, be a guy who can go multiple innings, at least more than 3 outs. So I'm curious to see how he does in that role during the regular season. He's done a very, very good job. It's just a matter of if he doesn't get in his own head and if he carries that into the postseason. It's a huge if, though.
I mean, you take a look at coming in the bullpen. Yeah, you don't have too much time to think about it. You might be coming in today, you might not. And you got the same thing with even with closing. I don't think there's much of a difference there with that too. And closing, maybe they might. I'm not saying they're going to use him to close out games, but he can.
No,
2008,
and that's another thing.
He came in for the Rays and closed out the game. I mean, like, so
yeah, but they didn't have Craig Kimbrell. Craig Kimbrell is also going to be a guy who you're going to see go 5 outs, 4 outs consistently. They're going to have to overuse him because that 8th inning role, it's not the most solid. You got Joe Kelly, who's very good. He did a really good job last year in the ALDS. He's the only player who actually had a good series last year in that ALDS. You also have Addison Reed, who has proven himself in this league. Carson Smith, who has proven himself, but he came back 3 weeks ago. He's not really up to speed yet. And we still need to wait and see who makes the roster. The rosters might be out officially. I haven't seen any major cuts if they are out, but I'm looking to see who makes the bullpen, who's going to be in the bullpen, who's going to be on the bench. Will Brock Holt make this roster? There's a lot of questions surrounding the Red Sox in this team. My gut tells me it's not the year. The way they played, the way they acted towards the media. You can go back to the Eck Price debacle. You look at, Dustin Pedroia throwing his teammates and his coach under the bus with the Machado slide or throwing out Machado. There's been like a lot of disconnect in this locker room, it seems like, in this clubhouse. My gut tells me they're not going to make it far. Maybe they win the series. It all stems on the ALDS.
What about this, though? Let me ask you this. If they get swept bad and there's clearly bad managerial moves, is John Farrell out?
It really depends. I've kind of lost hope in them firing John Farrell. He's got a job for life in Boston. He could be. It has to be a really bad collapse. They have to get blown out all 3 games. The thing is, they just won back-to-back division titles for the first time in franchise history. He's won 3 AL East titles in his 5 years with the Red Sox. His resume is a lot better than what he actually is. I just hope that they don't take his resume into account more so than, using the eye test. If it was up to me, I'd probably get rid of him. But again, a lot of it depends on who they have lined up as his successor. And that guy, in my opinion, has already left. That was Torey Lovullo, who's with the Diamondbacks. So it depends. Is John Farrell a good manager? No. Is he the worst in the league? No. He's middle of the pack. He's probably 15 to 20 range. He's not really good at anything. He's not great at anything. He's bad at a lot of stuff, but he's not the worst. I think it all depends on who's available, and it depends in the manner of which they lose. If they get out of the ALDS, he's back guaranteed. If they win 1 or 2 games in the ALDS, he's back guaranteed, in my opinion. They'd have to get swept for them to even consider firing him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be such an interesting AL playoff. The baseball postseason, in my opinion, is the best. I mean, always just for a sports fan, it's what you want. It's so you can't expect it. You can't expect who's going to win. You can't flat out just say that because there's so many small, uncontrollable components of it. So it's so great that it's starting yesterday and going on for the next month that we have this. I'm so excited. But let's take a quick break for a quick little live read. This Saturday, Bombers football are hitting the road to play the University of Rochester. Quarterback, he'd now be for the Bombers, actually, Alex. 343 yards and 357 yards.
Right?
Oh, God.
Right?
343 yards and 357 yards. The 2 highest passing yard games for a Bomber in history. Fella said he was number 1. And then the next 2 belong to him. They're 2-2. They look great. This Saturday, they're going to play the University of Rochester on the road. Coverage will be on 91.7 FM, 92 WICB. If you're not in the area, WICB.org. I'll have the call along with Connor Weingarten. So it's going to be a great broadcast and a great young football team with a new regime that's starting to starting to put it together. But let's get into a little NFL. I feel like every couple years when the Pats start out a little slow, people say they're not good anymore. You know, the whole Chiefs game and a couple times after that. But that Panthers game is a little concerning, and the defense is looking not great. I heard Lou Riddick the other day talk about it, and he said how Belichick, there might be some big trade or some big cut today because he's not having this. But I just got to know what happens if they lose tomorrow night in Tampa, because classic Pats fashion will show that they'll go into Tampa and win 45-10. But what happens if they lose on Thursday? Tampa's not an easy win. Jameis Winston's a good NFL quarterback. They've got some good weapons, Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson. The defense is solid. What's going to happen if they lose and go 2-3? When was the last time they were 2-3?
I can't remember the last time they've been below 500 after past week 4.
Week 4, yeah.
It really, and Alex Barth and I talked about this on Calling It, my other podcast. It comes down to one guy, Stephon Gilmore. You watch the game back, you look at all the missed coverages. Pretty much every time, most of the time, it was Stephon Gilmore being confused by the Patriots defense and not being able to get acclimated into this defense. He's been a real concern for New England. He's been the one guy who's consistently messed up, who has consistently been penalized, and has consistently missed his coverage. You put him on man-to-man, he's great. He sticks to you like glue. He's a good cornerback.
But doesn't Belichick not really run man-to-man that much?
That's a problem. He does. He switches between that and zone. But when they're in zone, you can't. He just implodes. He sucks. And at the end of the game, the press conferences with the players, you had McCourty say, you had Belichick say, you had all these guys say they can't simplify the offense any more than they already have. And the reason they're simplifying it the way that they have is because Stephon Gilmore has not been able to digest it. And has been getting confused out there, and it's cost them plays. He has been a brutal player, a major disappointment for New England.
They gave him so much money.
That's the thing. The one time the Patriots do something that's so un-Patriots like signing a cornerback to the contract that they did, it backfires big time. And the thing is, if he wasn't signed to this big deal, he'd obviously be cut by now. He would have been gone. But he has guaranteed money through next season. So you have this guy who you're stuck with, who's not doing his job, who's not picking up the playbook, who's really negatively been a net negative for your team, and has contributed to one of the worst pass, the worst pass defense in the NFL this year. Statistically, they are by far the worst. They've gotten blown up by Deshaun Watson. They've got blown up by Cam Newton, by Drew Brees. All these guys have torn them apart. By Alex Smith. It's been absurd. It's all because of him, pretty much. Malcolm Butler had a slow start.
Give it time.
He's got to adjust. It's been 4 weeks.
Belichick doesn't seem to nervous about it. He's talking about it, and he's just yeah, everyone's got a lot of room for improvement.
There could be North Korea could be storming the beaches, of Nantucket, and he would be looking at them with a stone face. Yeah, he's not going to act nervous about anything. He's obviously going to try to remain calm. It's still only week 5, but you're going up against a Buccaneers team with Deshaun Jackson and Mike Evans and a good quarterback and Jameis Winston on short rest, and your defensive and your secondary has been by far the worst part of your team. There's a lot to be nervous about. I think they're probably going to lose this game this week.
Really?
Absolutely. They're in short rest, and their defense has been in shambles.
If they lose this week, then they are in serious trouble.
No, they're not. They'll get it together eventually.
That's when you really start to think okay, no more bullshit. Pats aren't good anymore when they're 2-2. I'm talking 2-3, another horrible defensive performance. That's when you go into panic mode if you're a Pats fan.
I don't think I won't be panicked. I'm still not panicked. I'm just saying Stephon Gilmore is not working out right now. The Patriots always find a way to figure it out. And the reality is they have talent. Their defense is talented. Tom Brady's still Tom Brady. You saw the game he had last week. He's still unbelievable. Their offense is hitting on all cylinders. It's literally their secondary. It's that this one guy on their secondary has sucked, has been awful, has affected their entire game plan with his lack of being able to digest a playbook. It's been brutal. And I don't know how they didn't see this coming in. The guy scored a 14 on his Wonderlic score. Forrest Gump scored a 15. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, honestly, it's awful. This is like, I don't think they're going to cut him, but I don't think he's going to be starting on Thursday. Mark my words. He's not starting on Thursday. And the thing is, Eric Rowe's out now. Eric Rowe, thanks to the Eagles. He has a groin injury, so he's not going to be playing this Thursday.
How are the Eagles responsible for his groin injury?
No, they're not. Thanks for him in general.
Doug Peterson showed up and gave him a kick to the groin.
But you know what? It's really just unfortunate how awful he has been for the Patriots and how much of a disappointment he has been. Will they pick it up? I think they'll pick it up. I think their defense will get back to normal. Last week was also Dante Hightower's first week back since he got injured. I think once he gets more acclimated and back into, playing shape, the defense will look a lot better. Communication's been a big factor. I'm not, it's not over. They're still a Super Bowl contender in my eyes. Come week 14, they'll probably be the best team in the AFC. But it's always discouraging when you have a slow start like they've had.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they lose Thursday, they're in big trouble. But you
don't think they're going to lose?
I don't know, man. I think the Patriots are very unpredictable in their games. I never bet on any Patriot lines ever. Not saying I bet, but I'm just saying when I look at I never touch division lines, I never touch Patriot lines, I never touch Eagles lines. It's so unpredictable. I'll tell you this though, for the Patriots' sake, it's good. The AFC does not look that strong, and the Chiefs are 4-0. The Chiefs' season is gonna ride or die with the Patriots' success. Because if the Pats can't really pull together, they have an okay season, they go 10-6, their defense still sucks, then it's actually the Chiefs' time. On the show before, I've made a point where I said that Andy Reid on this Chiefs team will never make it past the divisional round. I've said that before. But now this year with the Pats, with what looks like a potential step back, I'm not saying they have, but if they step back this year, then that take of mine is going to be wrong. But if they get back to where they were last year, they revamp the defense, and they go up against Andy Reid. Belichick's outcoached Andy Reid how many times? 3 times in his career? He'll do it again. Andy Reid's got donuts and pizza on his mind.
And Kool-Aid.
And Kool-Aid. It's not a problem with that. But the Chiefs this year, they are just too conservative of a football team to win big games. That's the Andy Reid's problem. That was his problem in Philadelphia. That's his problem now. And that's why they lost to the Chiefs in the divisional game. That's why they lost to the Pats a couple years ago. They played the Pats tough. They lost 27-20 or something. They were too conservative. That's not how you win. Belichick has that perfect balance of being conservative and smart while also really going for it and being gutsy.
They lost that Kansas City Chiefs game because, obviously their defense didn't look good, but their offense was also not, 100% at that point. If they meet the Kansas City Chiefs, mark my words, they meet the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs again, it will be at least a 2-score game, and the Pats will win it. It won't be close. It will be the Patriots game all the way. They lost. I almost look at it as an advantage for the Patriots to get blown out by a team earlier in the season than meet again. And again, this goes back to my prior point. Their defense is not going to look like they do now in Week 16 or Week 17 come playoff time.
Of course.
Obviously,
the best defensive line of all time.
So you have that in mind. You look at how this offense has come together because that's really gone under the radar given the defensive struggles. They'll still be the best team in the AFC. I'm not going to budge off of that point. But they're not hands down the best team in the NFL. That's where the concern really lies. Coming into this year, the Pats were the number 1 team in the NFL, 16-0 talks with all the additions that they had. They're not there now. The Kansas City Chiefs are a great team. They're a good team. They just execute. They're the Alex Smith of the NFL. They are what their quarterback is. But again, it goes back to, you got a guy who can manage a game. Can he win you a game? Can he make those 2-minute drill drives at the end of games to take the lead or to tie it? Will they be able to adjust? I think they will. They're a well-coached team. But they just don't have the talent. They just don't. Also, another thing, no one thought Kareem Hunt was going to come in and do what he did. So
Andy Reid always, like, it's not a surprise though. Like, he always gets guys second, third round that end up being stars. Like, I know he's not the GM and he doesn't make the drafting decisions, but he has a big influence. He drafted Marcus Peters. You know, he was there for Kareem Hunt. He's turned Alex Smith into what he is. Like, he's a great player development guy. Unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm still sticking with the Patriots. You know, they're the Patriots. They've struggled through the first 4 weeks of the season before. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. Are they underrated? Yeah, I think they're underrated just because no one takes them seriously as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They win games in the regular season. I don't think it really translates. They're like the Washington Capitals. So, like, that's the best scenario. So, but all right. I think that's going to do it for us. Do you have any final thoughts before we sign off?
Hopefully Curb is better this week. I want to see Bryan Cranston. I want to see Marty Funkhauser. All
Marty Funkhauser will be there.
I know, but I'll believe it when I see it. Okay?
I also blew my dad's mind. My dad didn't know that Marty Funkhauser, Bob Epstein, was brother Einstein. Is brothers with Albert Brooks. Didn't know it. Now he does. It's a great little fun fact. Say it at your next Hanukkah party. All right. This has been the Jon and Lebo show. We'll be back same time, same place next week discussing the LDS. We got a lot to discuss next week. And obviously, Curb Your Enthusiasm. We'll keep tabs on that. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you soon.